These are the steps that we will follow while writing the Maxwell's equations. Maxwell's equations are based on different laws: Gauss law for electrostatics, Gauss law for magnetostatics, Faraday's law, and Ampere's circuital law. So in the first step, we will state the law on which that Maxwell equation is based. In the second step, we will write the law in integral form. In the third step, we will use either divergence theorem or Stokes theorem, that is the theorem for curl, and we will write the law in differential form. So this is how we are going to write the Maxwell's equations. Now let us discuss Maxwell's equations one by one. We will follow a four-step approach as discussed in the earlier slide. First, we will state the law on which the equation is based. Second step, we will write the law in integral form. Third step, we will use either a divergence theorem or Stokes theorem. And fourth step, we will write the law in differential form using the divergence theorem or Stokes theorem. So the first equation is based on Gauss law for electric field, and it states that the total electric flux passing through any closed surface is equal to the total charge enclosed by that surface. So if this particular surface is enclosing a charge q, then the flux passing, electric flux passing through this surface is equal to that charge enclosed. If d bar is the flux density, we can write the total flux as surface integral of d bar, and flux density is equal to epsilon naught E bar. So this total flux becomes epsilon naught surface integral of E bar, and according to this Gauss law, we can write this epsilon naught surface integral of E bar ds to be equal to total charge enclosed. Now if rho v is the charge density, that means rho v is the charge per unit volume, we can write the total charge enclosed by the surface also as volume integral of rho v dv. Rho v is the charge density, so charge per unit volume. So if we integrate it over entire volume, we will get total charge. So equation 1, according to Gauss law, it is giving us the total charge enclosed by the surface, and equation number 2 is also giving us the total charge enclosed within that volume bound by that particular surface. So by equating this equation 1 and equation 2, we can write the Gauss law in integral form as surface integral of d bar ds is equal to epsilon naught surface integral of E bar ds, that is equal to volume integral of rho v dv. So this is the Gauss law written in integral form. Now we will use divergence theorem to convert this surface integral in the form of a volume integral, and we can get the Maxwell's first equation. So in the last slide, we have written Gauss law in integral form as epsilon naught surface integral of E bar ds equal to volume integral of rho v dv. Now we will use here divergence theorem to write this in differential form. Using divergence theorem, we can write volume integral of divergence of E bar to be equal to surface integral of E bar ds. So volume integral of divergence of a vector function is equal to surface integral of that vector function over the surface that is binding that volume. So we can replace this surface integral by the volume integral of divergence, and using this from equation number 3 and 4, we can write this epsilon naught volume integral of divergence of E bar dv, that is equal to volume integral of rho v dv. Now both sides of these equations have got volume integrals, and therefore we can equate epsilon naught divergence of E to be equal to rho v, and therefore we can write divergence of E to be equal to rho v by epsilon naught. So this is the Maxwell equation, first Maxwell equation written in differential form. It states that divergence of E bar equal to rho v by epsilon naught. Rho v is the charge density, charge per unit volume, and epsilon naught is permittivity of free space. Now second Maxwell equation is based on Gauss law for static magnetic field. Gauss law for static magnetic field states that in a magnetic field, the magnetic lines of force are closed on themselves. So magnetic field lines originate from north pole and they end at south pole, and inside the magnet they go from south pole to north pole. So they are closed on themselves. That means total outgoing flux is equal to 0. So this law in integral form we can write it as surface integral of b bar ds equal to 0. So the magnetic flux which is going out is equal to 0. This is called as Gauss law for magnetic field in integral form. Using divergence theorem, we can write this surface integral as a volume integral of divergence of b bar. So surface integral of b bar ds can be written as volume integral of divergence of b bar dv, and therefore we can write divergence of b bar to be equal to 0. So for static magnetic fields, divergence of b bar will be equal to 0. So this is Maxwell's equation, second equation in differential form for static magnetic field. Third Maxwell equation is written for Faraday's law. According to Faraday's law, a changing magnetic field induces an electric field. So this is the statement: whenever there is a change in magnetic flux linked with the circuit, an EMF is induced in that circuit. The magnitude of induced EMF is equal to rate of change of flux. This means that the work done in moving a test charge from one point to the other point is given by line integral of E bar dl equal to minus d phi by dt, and that is equal to surface integral of dB by dt ds. So this is the integral form of Faraday's law. Now here we will use Stokes theorem now to write this line integral as surface integral of curl of E bar. So using Stokes theorem, we can replace this line integral of E bar over the curve P to be equal to surface integral of curl of E bar, and now we can just write this surface integral of curl of E bar ds to be equal to minus surface integral of dB by dt. So both are these surface integrals on left side and right side. So we can equate curl of E bar to be equal to minus dB by dt. So curl of E bar is equal to minus dB bar by dt. So this is the third Maxwell equation written in differential form. In static field, the work done in moving a test charge around a closed path will be 0 as phi will be constant, the flux is constant, and therefore line integral of E bar dl will be equal to 0, and therefore curl of E bar will also be equal to 0. So for static field, the Maxwell equation becomes curl of E bar equal to 0 because B is constant. So dB by dt will be equal to 0. So curl of E is equal to 0. Now let us discuss a fourth Maxwell's equation, which is based on Ampere's circuital law. This equation gives the relationship between current and the magnetic field created by it. According to this Ampere's circuital law, if we have a closed path through which current I is flowing, then the magnetic field will be induced due to this current, and the line integral of intensity of this magnetic field around this closed path will be equal to current enclosed by that path. So in the mathematical form we can write this Ampere's circuital law as line integral of intensity of magnetic field is equal to current enclosed by that path which is causing that magnetic field. We can write current I to be equal to J bar into ds, where J bar is current density. So J is the current per unit area. If we write I to be equal to J into ds, total current can be written as surface integral of J bar ds, and this total current is equal to line integral of H bar dl. Here we can use a Stokes theorem to convert this line integral into a surface integral. According to Stokes theorem, a line integral of a vector function is equal to surface integral of curl of that vector function. So line integral of this h bar dl can be written as surface integral of curl of h bar ds. So now on left side we have a surface integral, on right side also we have a surface integral. We can equate curl of h bar with j, and therefore curl of h bar is equal to j bar. Now b bar is equal to mu naught h bar, and therefore we can write this equation as curl of b bar equal to mu naught j bar. So this will be our fourth Maxwell equation written in differential form. This del operator is the differential operator, and that's why we are calling this form as the differential form. The Maxwell's fourth equation that we discussed in the last slide was for static fields. That is the electric field which is not changing with time. But what if the electric field changes with time? If electric field causing the current is changing with time, then the displacement current density must also have to be considered, because this changing electric field will also produce a magnetic field, and since the magnetic fields have always been associated with currents, this current must be proportional to the rate of change of electric field, and this current will be called as displacement current. Displacement current density is defined in terms of rate of change of electric displacement field, and the unit of displacement current is same as the electric current density. This displacement current is not an electric current caused due to moving charges, but it is caused due to time varying electric fields. So if we introduce the effect of displacement current, then the fourth Maxwell equation will change little bit. So let us see how it is changed. So time varying electric field will give rise to the induced magnetic field, and that will give rise to the displacement current, and therefore the total current density will be now j bar plus del d bar by del t. So this displacement current density has also to be considered. So fourth Maxwell equation was written for static field as curl of b bar equal to mu naught j bar, but in time varying fields the total current density is not j bar, but it is j bar plus del d bar by del t, and therefore fourth Maxwell equation for time varying fields can be written as curl of b bar equal to mu naught j bar plus del d bar by del t. So this is the fourth Maxwell equation for time varying fields. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, then please subscribe to the channel so that you will get timely intimation of new videos uploaded to the channel. Thank you very much.